Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Good Faith Idea Exchange. In today's dating scene, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges facing people in modern day relationships? Dr. Liner, would you like to get us started with that?
Sure. I mean, I think the easy answer is just to say technology, because that I think is the biggest overarching theme. But within that, I think, with online dating and all these ways to connect with people online, it feels like there are endless choices. And so people's ability to make commitments and feel like they can settle down with someone without worrying about what they're missing out on, I think has skyrocketed. And in addition, when a relationship doesn't work out due to technology, a lot of times your ex or the person you were involved with, like you're seeing everything that they're doing on various social media platforms, or you're seeing friends that you have in common posting things with them, and you really don't get as much distance as easily in order to heal these days.
Right, right. Okay. Well, Jared, what do you think?
I think the biggest difficulty for relationships now is, like you said, social media, but playing the balance of trying to figure out what you want and what you need. I think that's a big thing because you get in these relationships and you get with the person that you think you want in your head, and it end up not being the person that you need to be, fulfilled. So I think the influence from everybody telling you what you should want and should have and what it should look like, I think that's weighing heavily on society today and relationships.
Okay. Okay. Megan, what do you think?
Um, so when I was in college, Tinder kind of came onto the scene, and from then moving forward to now, it's more like a dating is kind of like fast food at this point. Like just in the early dating stages, before it was kind of like you met people organically, you were doing something, you end up having a conversation and you're chatting. But now
Right.
diving into the technology side of it, you're able to just quickly that instant gratification of, oh, this person also thinks I'm interesting, oh, we're going to have this quick conversation of like, hey, what's up, blah blah blah, and a little bit of back and forth. But you can get bored easily and just move on to the next person. So as opposed to previous times where you had to take the time and you get to know the person, you're like, maybe this isn't exactly what I want. You have that in the back of your head where you're like, well, if I don't really like this, I can just go back on to Hinge or Bumble or Tinder or
Right.
any other site and find something new. There's that. It's like a kid at Christmas. They just want to open up all of the gifts. It's not really, oh, I opened this gift and now I'm going to enjoy this. It's, oh, what's the next thing? I don't know what that is. I want to get to know that. So at least on my end, I've seen that happen a lot with people where it's just kind of like a game to see what they can do or who they can find, and if they get bored with it, they get rid of it.
I mean, do you think that comes from like I said, people just trying to saying that like the grass is greener on the other side, and people are pushing, don't settle. You hear, amongst women all the time, don't
Mm-hmm.
settle, don't settle, don't settle. But in reality, in a relationship, you're gonna always settle. There's gonna always be somebody better, you know what I mean? But you're gonna have to settle with somebody. You just try to find the best settlement for you. And so,
Yeah,
like I said, that's another thing that's going on right now is everybody's telling everybody what they deserve, and you can do better and all that. And even though you could, that don't mean that's necessarily for you. To circle back to what I was saying before.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, like for example, like my parents have been together for 35 years, and there's times that they go through some insane struggles that I'm like, oh my god, well, what is that? And they're like, well, it's hard work. I love that other person. The other person is my person, and we're two different people, and we have opinions that might not be the same, but you care and you love and you compromise and you work through stuff, and it's interesting to see that I mean, I 100% get the narrative of like, if you're in a terrible relationship and they don't treat you like with respect and dignity and all of these things, then yeah, absolutely. But it's like people get into this comfort zone and they're like, oh, well, I'm not excited anymore. I don't have butterflies anymore. I don't feel that tingly feeling all the time. And it's like, oh, well, I must not be in love anymore. And it's like, no, that is
Right.
normal. You're with your friend now. Like, and that's part of what I think is like a big problem is everyone's just looking for that like lightning strike all the time, as opposed to being like, oh, this person is my best friend. I can just sit and we can just hang out, and we don't have to have that tingly feeling all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's everyone's chasing that high, you know?
Yeah, I think, I mean, and maybe Megan might see this more as a female, but like growing up with the Disney princess trope and things, and some of the romanticized, you know, rom-coms and things of the 90s and 2000s, like the values that we were taught, and that your soulmate is supposed to be perfect for you, and they're supposed to fit you in every way, and they're supposed to be able to take on every category of support in your life, to be your therapist, your best friend, your confidant, your, you know, spiritual guide, all of it. And it's just not true. And so people, when they have unlimited options, the second they experience struggle with someone, even someone who earnestly wants to settle down and find their partner, the second something goes wrong, they think, oh, if this was right for me, this wouldn't be happening. I need to move on to something else.
And I think that also goes into our personal inability to be like, wow, maybe I need to, like, maybe there's parts of myself that I should work on. Like, it's very easy to be like, oh no, you know, what is that? There's like some quote that's constantly floating around the internet.
Oh, like if you can't handle me in my bed.
Yes. Oh
like,
my
oh
God.
my God, I hate that.
I hate that quote so much. And everyone thinks like, well, you know, they should love me all the time and whatever. It's like, no, sometimes, you know, you have serious stuff to work on. Like, I know that, like, I'm actively working on myself all the time in relationships, because I've been in bad relationships, and you know, it's hard to admit, like, hey, maybe a lot of the reason why these past relationships didn't work out weren't solely because of the other person, because it never is, you know, unless it's like drastic situations. But you know, it's a team effort. And if you have that mentality, which I don't know if that comes from, again, the 90 princess trope, oh well, I'm perfect and that other person should mold themselves to fit into my life. Absolutely not. You two people walking through the world have their own dreams, their own aspirations, their own traumas, their own issues. And if you believe that you're the one in the relationship that's perfect constantly, of course you're never going to be able to settle down in a relationship.